Okay. So in the last session, we had seen the concept of sorry. In the last session, we had seen the concepts of um, constructors. The three different types of the constructors we had seen: the default constructor, parameterized constructor, and how we are implementing the copy constructor in Java. So that we have already seen. So in the today's session, we are going to consider in the today's session, we are going to consider the concept of exception handling. Okay. So basically, what is the exception? So exception is nothing but any error which is happen at runtime. We can say that anything which is happening at runtime. For example, if it is required that we have to enter the integer values, and if instead of integer, if you are entering any written word values or any letter, then at that time system should come out of the scope. A system should not go into the infinite loop. So that is nothing but the exception. Okay. So that exception, so how the Java is handling the exception, so that we will consider. Just as we know that the object in object oriented programming, exception is also required, but that was the optional part. But in Java, the exception handling is a must considered entity. So it is required every time whenever we are doing the programming, the exception need to be thrown first. Okay. So runtime errors we need to cover in this case. So it is a mandatory. So therefore we will see that basically how it is possible. So basically 17 types of unchecked exceptions and checked 8 types of exceptions are available. So the exception is basically the subclass of error, and 17 subclasses of exception class are available. Okay. So we will see that exception and abnormal condition that arises in the code sequence at runtime or it is called as the runtime. Okay. So it is nothing but the abnormal conditions or any unrealistic condition which is happening at runtime, that is called as exception. Java exception is an object that describes the exceptional, that is error condition. Okay. So Java basically what it does, it is just creating the object of a particular class, and it will just throw, and that class will handle that particular exception. When an exceptional condition arises, an object representing that exception is created and thrown in the method that caused the error. Okay. If so, this is nothing but how they are caught. Exception can be generated by Java runtime system. It can be generated by runtime system, that is Java runtime. It is nothing but the JVM. Manually, it could be manually generated also. Sometimes to give some of the important messages, we can make use of exceptions. Okay. So basically, what are the keywords which we are using? So in most of the cases, the try and catch methods we are using, then after that throw, throws, and finally. So these are the keywords which we are using whenever we are going for the exception handling. So try block is nothing but the starting point of the exceptions. Okay. So the catch will end for every try block. There is a catch. Okay. It contains the program statements that are to be monitored for exceptions. So all the contents which are coming under the braces of try is considered as valid, considered for exception. Okay. Catch block contain the statements that catch their exceptions, these exceptions, and handle it in same rational manner. If the exception is happening at a particular statements, then that is directly thrown towards a catch. Okay. And the catch will handle that exceptions. Okay. System generated exceptions are automatically thrown by the Java runtime system. System generated exceptions are also there. So those will be handled by system itself. Okay. So try and catch. So for any programming, a single try is required if you are using the try catch method, and multiple catches for a single try is there. Throw, basically it is used to manually throw an exception, because if we are knowing that at certain stage there might be the chances of exceptions, then at that time, after the completion of declaration of that particular function, we are writing the throw message. Okay. So throw is basically used to used to manually throw an exception. If a single exception, single statement is there, and we know that it might have the runtime errors, at that time we use the throw. The throws clause is used to specify any exceptions that is thrown out of a method. So for the method we are using throws, and for a single statement we are using throw. And finally, block contain code that is absolutely must be executed after a try block completes. So finally is nothing but it is in any condition that particular block need to be executed. Okay, so this is just it is required. Okay, so basically the general form of an exception handling block, this is nothing but a single try can have the multiple catch, but a single finally block. The block of code to be executed after try block ends. So this is executed by anyhow this particular block is need to be executed. I think this much is sufficient for the today's session. We will